year. Okay, so depreciation. So over time, some items increase in value. Right? So some items, like the idea of investment property, if you buy a house, you want it to increase. That's appreciation, it's appreciating. Or you might be into artwork or antiques. Certain things appreciate in value. There's I don't think there's many things. Generally speaking, things lose their value over time, which is called depreciation. Something depreciates over time. Okay? Something appreciates, something depreciates. And so typically cars depreciate at a fairly rapid rate. Mechanical equipment, things that you might use in an office supplies like computers, printers, photocopiers, TVs, anything electrical will depreciate for various reasons, because it's kind of designed to do that, where it wears out, new stuff is always coming onto the market, all this type of thing. Yeah, it's a specific type of antique car, but generally speaking, cars lose their value. Okay, so the Toyota you buy, hold them and buy new out of the warehouse or out of the dealership, as soon as you drive out, it drops in value, and then everything after that, you will drop in value off. Okay, so that's what depreciation is. Now, an asset is the item that you own. And so when, let's say, a company or an individual finds out how much they're worth, so as in finding out how much value they have in things, it's not only about money in the bank, but it's about assets. Okay, so a company like, if you think of a big company like BHP or something, a mining company, they have billions of dollars of assets, which are in equipment, property, all sorts of investments all over the place. So it's not just about money, but an asset is something. So say you own a car, or I own a car, so that's an asset, because I can sell it. But at the same time, the asset changes in value. So depreciation in accounting is a very important concept. When you're working out the value of a company, you have to take into account that value is dropping. Okay, so something you bought last year is not the same value as it was. That's inaccurate. You have to take that into account, take percentages of it. Generally speaking, the method used will be a percentage decrease per year, but at the moment we're going to use a straight line method, which is a set amount that comes off, and then we'll go into a percentage decrease, the curve. This is a straight line method. And after it depreciates, the price that you sell it again for, or that's worth after a certain number of years, a certain number of periods, is called the salvage value. Okay? So it could be that the salvage value is very low, some things keep their value for a bit longer. Depends on what it is. Just as an aside, has anyone ever heard of the thermomix? It's like this, I've heard about it first time. It's like a $3,000 all-in-one cooking appliance. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So the straight line method. The straight line method of depreciation, the idea is every year a value is coming off, but it's a set amount. Okay, so something's worth, say, $10,000 when you buy it, and then every year after that you lose $1,000 in value. Okay, this comes off each year. And so then you can work out, well, how much is this thing worth in 5 years' time? How much is it worth in 7 years? And so you take that into account. If you want to sell it off again, or if you want to work out the value of your assets, all these kind of things is an important thing to be aware of. Okay, so you take a set amount of the value each year. Okay, so the example is a photocopy costs $3,400. Okay. It depreciates by $270 per year. What is the value after 1, 3, and 5 years? Alright, so we've got this value of this photocopier. You buy it for $3,400. Every year it takes off $270. So we need to work out how much it's worth after that time. We will do now. Okay, so 1 year. After 1 year, how much is it going to be worth? Somebody tell me. How do we work it out here? Good. So after 1 year, you do 3,400 minus 270 is 3,130. Right? So that's how much it's worth after 1 year. Now, if you think about it, after 3 years, what you're doing is you take off this much for each year that you've had it. So it's 3,400 minus 270 minus 270 minus 270. Well, what's an easier way to write that? Yeah. So it's much easier to write it with multiplication. That's the whole point of it. And so we have 3,400 minus 3 times 270. And that is equal to what? 3,590 dollars. Yes, that's after 3 years. And then after 5 years, we have to take it off 5 times. It's 3,400. Of course, the other way you could do it is take it for the after 3 years and then take another 2 years. Okay, you can do it like that. Like, it doesn't really matter. The method essentially will be the same. 3,400 minus 5 times 270, and that is equal to 2,050. 2,050. Now, it's important to note that depreciation is also a really important concept because for certain specific types of equipment, companies don't buy it outright. The reason they don't buy it is because it depreciates. Rather, they have a rental or a long-term lease agreement with the company. So, for example, if you know those photo development places, Big W or Kodak shops and stuff, they've got those huge machines that print out hundreds and hundreds of photos, thousands of photos. Those machines cost thousands and thousands of dollars. But they also lose their value, and the technology is always improving and getting more efficient. So you don't really want to buy it outright. So the companies tend to rent it off, say, Kodak or Canon, whoever makes them, and then the agreement is that the machine gets swapped out every few years. And so in that agreement, depreciation is taken. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, because we've got so many of these Canon, because of that agreement. But these things are huge outlay, huge amount of money. It's quite amazing. If you appreciate flipping paper and printing, what it can do. And then you see the big ones. I don't know if you've seen the big ones in the admin world. They're twice as fast as churn out. Things like that. Okay, so basically the formula for the salvage value of an asset, that's S. S is the salvage value. Salvage value S equals VO minus DN. Right, so VO means the purchase price. V, purchase price, the price after 0 years. Okay, so you can also think of it as V1 would be the price after 1 year, V5 after 5 years. Okay, V, the purchase price, or the price of the asset, cost of the asset, value of the asset. Okay? D is the depreciation per period. And then that's multiplied with n, which is the number of periods, typically years. Okay, so dn. And so obviously the value after any number of years is v, the original price minus the amount that comes off each year multiplied by the number of years. That's what we found here. 3,400 minus n, which is 3, times d, which is 270. 3,400, which is VO, n, which is 5, 270, which is d. So that's fairly straightforward. I think it makes sense to do that. So I'll just do one more example. I can come back up to it. Now, $34,000 ute depreciates by $1,500 each year. How much is the ute worth after 4 years? So part A. So we've got 34,000. So S equals VO, which is 34,000, minus D, which is 1,500. Times 4. And that's 1,500 times 4 is 6,000, so it's $28,000. That's how much it's worth. Alright? Good so far. What percentage of the purchase price is the annual depreciation? How do we work that out? How do we work out the depreciation as a percentage of? Yeah, that's right, times 100. Okay, so we're working out percentage. So we've got 1,500, which is our amount over the total, which is 34,000 times 100 equals how much? What is 4.4? 4.4%. Alright, so again, answering the question, it loses 4.4% of its original value and you can see it's similar to simple interest because the amount that it depreciates is always based on the initial amount that it's worth. Okay, so it's always 4.4% of 34,000. We're not changing, we're not saying it's 4.4% of the new amount that it reduces every year. It's just always a steady, straight line, graph. That's where the name is. Okay, and after how many years will the value be zero? Now, this is where we have to think a little bit about modeling this and making a equation for this specific case. So we know that 34,000 is set, so we can say, well, S equals 34,000 minus 1,500 10. Now this gives us an equation of the salvage value for any number of years. Equation for the salvage value after n years. Now if you want to answer this question, after how many years will the value be zero? What can we substitute into this equation? What's S going to be when the value is zero? Yeah, it's zero. We're looking for how many years does it take for S to become zero? So we're going to say, well, okay, so we want S to be zero when the ute is worthless. S is equal to zero. So we have 0 equals 34,000 minus 1,500n. Because for this case, we know that 1,500 is the amount it reduces every year. That's why I can substitute the 1,500 and the 34,000 in. How do I solve this equation? Yeah, so plus 1,500m to both sides. 1,500m equals 34,000. And then divide by 1,500. So n equals 34,000 divided by 1,500. Which is equal to 22.7 years. Okay? So if you had the ute for about 23 years, say approximately 23 years, it would be now worthless. Because the ute would not have any value after 23 years. That's basically any questions about all of that? No? Right. Make sure you ask as you do the work. So exercise 5.9. Do it, ask lots of questions. And if you have any questions from previous stuff as well, make sure you ask it, especially the annuity stuff.